Hi, it's Brian. This is the awards contender, and it's time for another Sundance review. One of my favorite films I saw during the festival, A Real Pain, written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg. This film was definitely on my radar before I left for Sundance for a few reasons. One, I'm a huge fan of Jesse Eisenberg's work, going back to The Squid and the Whale in 2005, and then The Social Network, and his films with Kristen Stewart. So much great material that he has done as an actor. And then this is his second feature as writer-director, and he also stars in it. So that was intriguing to me. And then Kieran Culkin in the second lead role. I've always been a big fan of Kieran Culkin's too, like even before Succession. Whenever he pops up in a movie or a show, I get very excited. And he's done some wonderful work throughout the years. Igby Goes Down from 2002, which I believe got him a Golden Globe nomination. And then Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, he is one of the scene stealers in that. And he just continues year after year to showcase his talent in a variety of projects. Obviously, he was one of the best things about Succession, one of the most incredible shows in recent years. And now, fresh off his Golden Globe and Emmy wins for Succession, we have a new movie with him, A Real Pain. I absolutely loved this movie. I'm a big fan of quiet character stories that have a healthy mix of comedy and drama. Movies that really make you care about the characters. By the 10-20 minute mark, you're invested in these people and their journey, and you're curious where it's going to take them. And then at some points, you're laughing really hard. It's very funny and fresh. And then some scenes are so surprisingly, in a way, emotionally devastating that you're welling up with tears. That was me in A Real Pain, a movie that could have been cringy in the wrong tone, a movie that could have gotten very dull very quickly, and that was never the case with this. So the basic premise of A Real Pain is that Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin play cousins. Jesse is David and Kieran is Benji, and they were close when they were younger, but as David has gotten more successful in his job, he has a wife, he has a kid, whereas Benji is still single, still trying to find himself. Their relationship as friends has soured a little bit. As the movie goes on, you start to see how their semi-fractured relationship affects the trip they're on. Their grandmother has died, and she has left them money to get together, travel to Poland to honor her, and see where she grew up. Both David and Benji were crazy for their grandmother, and they do want to honor her. And so after their long flight and they get settled in Poland, they join this tour group of just a few people to see the historical sites, the historical places in Poland. And along the way, you get to spend time with all of these quirky characters, while really the focus of the movie is on that relationship between Benji and David. Jesse Eisenberg's David is very much reserved and polite, whereas Kieran Culkin's Benji is like a bat out of hell. From the opening scene, Culkin is so perfectly cast in this role because it's a character with big emotion. He has lots of outbursts. He cries. Benji will say what's on his mind, and that often gets him into trouble, and it creates some big arguments between the two cousins, especially when they're alone, back at their hotel and things. Benji is this charming, unpredictable firecracker. You never quite know what he's going to do, and part of the fun of the movie is just watching this Kieran Culkin performance. The way he just stampedes through one scene after another. He can go really, really big in this movie, to the point where you're like, oh my god, what is this guy's issue? But then, a scene later, he can be extremely quiet, in the corner of the room, not talking to anybody, When I think back on this movie a couple weeks after having seen it now, it is the Kieran Culkin performance that I hang on to the most. He is such a standout in this movie. It was one of my favorite performances of the festival. I very much enjoyed Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin interacting in one scene after another. They have this amazing screen chemistry. I'm like, how have these two never been paired up in a film before? Like, they're perfect together in scenes of just lighthearted humor and also scenes that go really deep and dark and very serious. A Real Pain is not just a comedy. I think the title kind of gives it away. Like, this is one of those movies that has the mix of the two, and often that mix doesn't work very well. Like, sometimes a comedy will be funny, or, let's be honest, will be trying to be funny for an hour plus, and then in the third act, suddenly it gets dead serious. I hate when a comedy does that, when it's like, oh, we're gonna try to make you laugh for a while, but oh wait, there's a very serious thematic issue we want to explore in the final 20 minutes. I'm never a fan of that. Or there will be dramas about very serious issues where the writer-director, like, they want to liven things up, so there are scenes of so-called hilarity or whatever, and like, the tone never feels right. There are many movies like that as well, and what's so great about A Real Pain is Jesse Eisenberg, the writer-director. His ability to match the light with the dark is very impressive. Like, I have not seen Jesse Eisenberg's first feature. I think it came out like 2 years ago. Now I want to seek it out. I don't know how I missed it. He is an extremely talented writer, director, actor. I mean, he is a triple threat in this movie, and he does a fantastic job on all three. I was always engaged in A Real Pain. I was never bored. There's never a lull, a moment where I'm like, okay, this is too obvious. I do think one flaw in the movie is that the other characters in the tour group never really come alive. Like Jennifer Grey, Dirty Dancing, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off's Jennifer Grey plays one of the members of the tour group. And she gets a lot of moments in the movie. Like, she has a lot of scenes, and her character just never pops. I wanted a little bit more interaction, engagement with the other characters in the movie too. I mean, I know the focus is the cousins, as it should be, but I do wish some of the other characters could have had a bit more life. One other character in the movie that's interesting is played by Will Sharp. He plays the tour guide, James, who has lots of interactions, especially with Benji. Benji is not always thrilled about how the tour is going, and he will tell James what's on his mind. Here's how you can improve. Oh, you've been doing this gig for many years? Yeah, no, this could be better. Like, you could do this better. And James is kind of taken aback, and he actually kind of grows throughout the movie. He starts to realize that he could be a better tour guide. The way he presents facts and places doesn't have to be so structured and without emotion. But yeah, the other members of the tour could have had a bit more dimension to them. I also felt like, I won't give it away, there is one scene toward the end where Benji and David sort of like reach their destination. And there's a moment I think Eisenberg was trying to make funny and clever, and it never quite worked. It's like a 3-minute scene. It's not a big part of the movie, but it is near the climax. And I felt like it was a scene that should have been serious. It should have been emotional. And instead, Eisenberg's like trying to get a laugh, and it's kind of awkward. It is the one scene in the movie I didn't think worked very well. But for the most part, this is a wonderful film. I really enjoyed going on this journey, not just the journey with the two main characters, Benji and David, but also the journey in Poland. Like, the cinematography, the sights that you see in this film are fascinating at times. I believe this film is connected to Eisenberg's own family, exploring Jewish culture and history. He obviously has a very emotional tie to this material. and you feel it all throughout the film. Again, Eisenberg does a great job here as writer, director, and actor. I think in the right material, Eisenberg soars, and he soars here. And then Kieran Culkin steals this movie. You will be thinking about Culkin's performance long after the end credits roll. And a few weeks on, I'm like, this movie, people are going to really dig this one. Searchlight picked it up, which is a good sign. That means it's going to get a theatrical release. I don't know when they're putting this out. If they're putting it out in like May or June or July, maybe nothing will happen come next award season. But if Searchlight puts it out in the fall and it gets glowing reviews, as I assume it will, I do believe A Real Pain could play at least a small role in next award season. It is easily one of my 5 favorite films I saw at Sundance. It's one of the movies that has stuck with me the most. It's one of the films I would happily watch again right now if I had the opportunity. I think that says something. And so I do think the screenplay by Jesse Eisenberg could maybe get some traction in the months down the road. And the Kieran Culkin performance. I don't know if it would be designated lead actor or supporting actor because he is in pretty much the whole movie. You could make the argument that Jesse Eisenberg is the lead of the film and Culkin is supporting. I mean, it's so early to even talk Oscar and things, but Culkin is that good in A Real Pain, and he has been intensely celebrated for that final season of Succession. So, he's on awards voters' radars right now. And it's perfect timing for him to have a scene-stealing role in a really great 2024 film. We will see what happens. Probably nothing will happen. I mean, let's be honest. It's only February. Depending on when Searchlight puts this out, if they hold it really late, maybe something could happen. But I do think Kieran Culkin gives an Oscar-worthy performance in this movie. It's one of the 3 or 4 best performances I saw my entire week at Sundance. He is just magnetic as an actor, and he is so fun to watch in this. It's a brilliant comic performance, and it's also an outstanding dramatic performance too. He has at least 2 scenes in this, maybe 3, that really got me. That I thought he was just on another level, and at the same time, he's cracking you up and doing all sorts of crazy things all throughout the narrative that put a smile on your face. It is just a spectacular performance from the great Kieran Culkin. And again, Jesse Eisenberg has crafted a marvelous comedy/drama. I give A Real Pain an 8 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing. And let me know in the comments below, what are some of your favorite films starring either Jesse Eisenberg or Kieran Culkin? And we'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.